Hi everybody, I'm Tim Bulott and welcome to weaponsacademy.com. We've got just a little informal video for you this evening in response to some questions we've had about camera equipment. So I've been asked, what do I like to shoot with when I'm getting my action footage and so forth. So anyway, here it is. This is our camera that we use to get all the action footage that you see in our videos. No, not really, okay? As it was in the time, but not today. For those of you that know me, you know that I've been doing video work for a while, and I actually started in the late 80s, okay? And back in that day, it was all tape, of course, and I got this camera about in the early to mid 90s, I'm wanting to say. I actually had two of these at one time, and I filmed quite a few cable TV commercials with it and a ton of martial arts training videos. But as expensive as these things were, we're talking in the tens of thousands, it is absolutely 100% obsolete now. This camera is really good for nothing, okay? Because it's just out of date and not compatible with today's times. But we're going to talk about two cameras today that we use actually for our field footage, our action footage, okay? So what we get out on the trails when we're doing our outdoor videos, and then when we're on the range for our run and gun action footage, basically it comes down to these two cameras right here. Now, the reason I have these two cameras, and we're going to talk about these two cameras, is not just because I use them, but because the price on these, both of them, is going to be right in the $900 range. We have a Canon M50, which is $500 to $600 for the body, and then by the time you get a lens and batteries and so forth, it's going to be right at about $900. And then we have a Sony AX53, okay, which is basically an all-in-one package, except for the handles and the microphones. Now you can see I have pretty much the same setup on both of these, with the same type of handle and same type of similar microphone here that we use. And this is how I like to run with these. I love these little handles, and you know, this is a Rode mic here, and this is made by Boya, but they're pretty close to the same thing, and they do a real fine job for what I need. Okay, now today we are in the age to where people are more fond of using DSLRs and mirrorless cameras for their shooting, and this is a camcorder, which is, you know, by many considered a relic. But I'm going to talk about the Canon first, okay? As you can see from the large JVC camera, I am a camcorder person. I came up learning camcorder, started with 3/4 inch, then we went up to 1/2 inch tape and so forth, and I worked in those older formats, Betacam, Betacam SP, Hi8, SVHS. Those were all the formats of the day, and it was all camcorders. Photos were for taking, or pictures, cameras were for taking pictures, and camcorders were for recording video, and the two stayed separate. Well, now they've come together, as we all know, and the DSLRs and mirrorless are by far the most popular. So I gave it a shot with the M50, and we've got a couple of Nikons also. I gave it a shot, so I'm going to talk about this camera first, you know, what I like about it and what I don't like about it, okay? So let's just start with the lens, okay? You have very limited use with just one lens that comes with this camera, because it's mirrorless. It's not compatible with a lot of the other Canon lenses, so there's not a whole lot of choices. So this one goes out to I'm wanting to say 15 to 45 millimeter, which is not a lot of zoom, and then I have another one which was 18 to 55 millimeter. So to get more zoom, once you exhaust the capability of the lens, you have to change it, and that's not real field expedient, okay? Image stabilization, it is in the lens, and it works fairly good, okay? So good image stabilization on that. Focus, all right? The autofocus on the Canon is really quite good as well, and there you have several setup options with it. It's a little more complicated to set up than it is with the other camera perhaps, but nevertheless it does work good. And for me, that's about where the good ends with this camera, from my opinion, for what I like to do for run and gun fast footage, okay? It's got a touch screen on the viewfinder, and it does articulate to where I can get the view from any angle. The battery compartment is on the bottom, and the battery life is horrible on this. And when it runs out, I mean, it runs out fast. It's got a meter that shows up on the display, but it doesn't count down. It just it goes from full to empty like that, and boom, your camera's dead. Also, you have that 30-minute record limit on these cameras. And for me, when I need to change either the card or the battery, it's on the bottom. I have to take my little accessory off, or if I'm shooting off a tripod, I have to take it off the tripod to change the battery. So that's kind of a pain. The on and off feature is here. You actually have to manually turn it on and off, where at the Sony I just open it and it turns off. That's really good for just bail out and shoot type footage that I like about the Sony. But nevertheless, this does have a cutoff if you leave it set on, but you know, it will go a while before it cuts off and it runs your battery down. Menu settings on this are pretty easy all the same, but where this camera really shines is the image sensor. It has a APS-C sensor, which is quite a bit larger than what you get in your average camcorder. So I do like that about the Canon. Other than that, you know, you have a lot of manual control. It takes a little bit more work to set it up and so forth. It's not a real fast use camera, so to speak, because it does take a little bit of work to get it ready to go. So, but where it comes in over the Sony would be on the image sensor, because it does have that large sensor. Other than that, let me put this for a side of the second. Let's talk about the Sony AX53. Okay, this only has a 1/2 inch sensor, which is probably about a third of the size, maybe, of the Canon sensor, but it's not that bad, believe it or not. And you can see in the image qualities that we shoot with this in the video coming up that for a 1/2 inch sensor, it's really quite impressive. And the technology is working with these smaller sensors, because you see a lot of cameras have a lot of features with only that 1/2 inch sensor. That's because the image is pretty good on it. What I like mainly about this camera is that you just open the screen, the camera turns on, and you are ready to shoot. Okay, and once you have it set up, all the settings stay in there, and I run both of these on the outdoor white balance presets when I'm shooting outside, which is what we do for the most part, and that works real good. You close the viewfinder, the flip out screen, and it turns off. And this one does articulate all the same. If you want to use the viewfinder, you just extend that and it turns on automatically. Push it back in and it turns off. Okay, battery life on this thing is awesome. I can shoot all day on one of these batteries. I can shoot all day on one of them half the size of it. The image stabilization in this, it's actually got a little built-in gimbal. Although the Canon is good, this one is superior. Okay, so it actually stabilizes almost as good as a gimbal, and you can actually see that little lens housing moving around in there. Okay, now you can see the microphone that I have is set up all the same, as because all my cameras that I run with nowadays, I set up this. Another thing that I like about this thing that is superior over the Canon is the zoom. It actually has, you know, it takes a little bit to get used to this little zoom button right here, but I also have zoom control on the lens, okay, or on the screen, I should say. So you can see the wide and the telephoto, record button, start stop button right there. I have all of that that's readily available to me in this package. So for ease of use, you know, less learning curve. The menu's really easy. On both of them it's easier, but it's easier on the Sony in my opinion. This one shoots full 120 frames per second, also in full HD. The Canon does not. It drops it down to 720. So if you want to get some high-speed footage for slow-mo, this one is superior in that area also. So although this one has a larger sensor, the Canon does have the larger sensor in it. For me, and for what we do here at Weapons Academy, which is a lot of gun range footage and a lot of outdoor footage, the Sony takes the cake. Okay, now I'm not the 100% expert on these by any means. There's a lot of research, and most shooters nowadays prefer using mirrorless or DSLR cameras, and you got to give it to the image quality. The image quality on these things is awesome, but in my opinion, it's not that much better, if any better, than the Sony, to where it would cause me to change my opinion and go from being a camcorder person to a DSLR or a mirrorless camera video maker. I'm going to stick with my camcorders. Okay, so what we're probably going to do with the Canon, because we've used it enough in the field now to know that this is a good camera, but it's just not rapid enough for what we need, is we're going to use this strictly for the Zhiyun crane gimbal that we have, and just run it on top of that gimbal, because it is, I mean, look at the size of this thing. If we take this off, the handle off, I mean, it's you know, about the size of 2.5 GoPros. I mean, it is a lightweight camera, but like I said, there's just too many drawbacks, and I hate the way that battery dies out on this thing. Right in the middle of shoot, boom, the battery goes dead, and then you got to stop everything you're doing and change it, because the bars just don't count down. It's just not that good. Another thing that let me get back to this one that I don't like on it is you can't see your audio levels on the display. Okay, so it just doesn't have the features that I like for a camera as compared to a camcorder. Okay, so it's not enough to make me want to change over and become a DSLR or a mirrorless. So I still think that camcorders have a place in today's video making, without a doubt. Now, having said that, I've got one charging up back here. We are going to be upgrading to this. This is the Sony AX700, and the AX700 is, you know, it's I guess you could say it's a big brother to the AX53. Has a lot of similar features, but it has a lot of professional features also that the AX53 does not have, including it goes up to a 1-inch sensor. Still not as big as the ASPC sensor that the Canon has, but it's definitely a step up. So we'll have some more footage coming up on that in the future. So for now, me and my daughter went downtown and we did some side-by-side comparisons, and everything we shot in 24p. We did some side-by-side comparisons of the Canon M50 and the Sony AX53 to let you see for yourself what you like and what you dislike about the images. So I would appreciate some feedback from y'all. Leave some comments down there on which one you think is the best, and if you have any other inputs that you want to put into that, I'd be all about it. But right now, let's go to that footage and check out both of these cameras side by side in action and see what you guys think of the image quality. All right, so this is the comparison against the M50 and the Sony AX53, both at 24p. Film mode. Alright, so this is the comparison against the M50 and the Sony AX53, both at 24p. Film mode. Good, hold right there. We get this one reset. Good, hold right there. Get this one reset. See, I've just got moved her back a little bit, put a little bit more zoom in it, and voila, everything behind you is out of focus. Just like it's moving, right? Right there. Yeah, this one's definitely got you. Background's out of focus good with the Canon. With the Sony, it's pretty sharp. Here's what the walk into anything, okay? Okay, so there it is, a side-by-side camera shootout, the Sony AX53 versus the Canon M50, a camcorder versus a mirrorless camera. I understand mirrorless cameras are the future, but here at Weapons Academy, we're under the opinion of the camcorder works better for what we do. So we're sticking with that for now. I'd like to hear y'all's thoughts on that, and I appreciate y'all watching this video. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one.